The latest developments coming out of Tehran have placed Iran once again at the center of global attention, with bold claims that the nation is not only prepared to defend itself, but fully ready to fight both Israel and the United States if conflict breaks out. To understand this declaration, it's important to dive into the military capabilities, the strategy, the political context, and the unique aspects that make Iran's position more than just rhetoric. When leaders in Tehran say they are ready to fight, it is not just a matter of slogans, but rather a reflection of years, a preparation, investment in technology, and calculated regional moves designed to give them leverage against two of their most significant rivals. Iran's military readiness is built on a combination of conventional forces, ballistic missile systems, cyber capabilities, and asymmetric warfare tactics that rely heavily on regional allies and proxy groups. Unlike traditional armies that depend on sheer size and expensive equipment alone, Iran is focused on creating what analysts often call a layered defense and offense model. This means that, rather than relying only on tanks, aircraft, or warships, Iran has invested heavily in missile systems, drones, and underground bases that make it harder for adversaries, like the US or Israel, to neutralize them in a first strike. One of the key features of Iran's preparation is its ballistic missile program. Over the years, despite international sanctions and restrictions, Iran has managed to develop a wide range of missiles that can strike targets hundreds or even thousands of kilometers away. The Shahab Ghadar and Sajil series are well known, and more recently, the K-Bar and Emad missiles have entered the spotlight. These are designed with accuracy improvements and advanced guidance systems that make them more effective against strategic targets, such as air bases, power plants, or even ships at sea. Iran boasts that its missile technology is indigenous, meaning it was developed and built within the country, which is a major selling point for a nation long isolated from international arms markets. For Iran, this domestic production not only ensures independence, but also makes it possible to continually upgrade and adapt weapons without relying on outside suppliers. Another crucial dimension of Iran's readiness is its drone program, which has evolved dramatically in the last decade. Unmanned aerial vehicles have become one of Tehran's most powerful tools, capable of both surveillance and direct strikes. Drones like the Shaitwa 136, often described as kamikaze drones, have been deployed in various regional conflicts, providing Iran with a cost-effective yet highly destructive tool. Unlike fighter jets that cost millions of dollars to build and maintain, these drones can be produced relatively cheaply and in large numbers. That scalability allows Iran to threaten its enemies with swarms of drones that can overwhelm defense systems. Israel's Iron Dome and America's advanced radar-guided missile defense systems may be able to intercept some, but the sheer number that could be launched makes total protection difficult in addition to missiles and drones. Iran has invested in asymmetric warfare capabilities through its alliances and proxies in the region. Groups such as Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas, and Islamic Jihad in Gaza, and the Houthis in Yemen form what Tehran often refers to as its axis of resistance. These allies provide Iran with the ability to strike at Israel and even at American assets indirectly, without Iran itself having to launch a direct attack. This strategy is unique because it creates multiple fronts, stretching adversary resources thin and complicating their defense planning. For example, if Israel focuses on defending against Hezbollah rocket attacks from the north, it still has to worry about Iranian drones or missiles coming from much further away. Similarly, American bases across Iraq, Syria, and the Gulf could come under pressure from Iran-backed militias, effectively turning any conflict into a wide-ranging regional war. One aspect that makes Iran's posture particularly striking is the underground network of missile silos, drone factories, and military tunnels spread across the country. Iranian state media has frequently showcased these underground bases, sometimes referred to as missile cities. These facilities are not only symbolic but also practical, providing protection against airstrikes and ensuring that even in the event of a massive bombardment, Iran could still retaliate. This element of survivability adds to the deterrent effect, making any potential attacker think twice before escalating, because eliminating Iran's arsenal in a single strike becomes almost impossible. On the political side, Iran's readiness declaration is closely tied to its broader foreign policy goals. Tehran has long positioned itself as a defender of Muslim causes, particularly the Palestinian struggle, which naturally puts it in direct opposition to Israel. At the same time, decades of hostility with the United States, stretching back to the 1979 revolution, have created a deep-rooted rivalry. Sanctions, military threats, and even cyber attacks, like the Stuxnet operation against Iran's nuclear program, have reinforced the perception in Tehran that Washington is an existential adversary. By declaring readiness to fight both Israel and America, Iran is sending a signal not just of strength, but of defiance. An attempt to deter any aggression while boosting its standing among supporters and allies in the region. From a performance perspective, Iran's military has shown resilience and adaptability. Despite having outdated conventional aircraft compared to the United States or Israel, it has shifted the focus to technologies where it can gain advantages, like missiles, drones, and cyber operations. Cyber warfare, in particular, has been a growing part of Iran's toolkit. Iranian hackers have been accused of targeting critical infrastructure in both Israel and the United States, showing that battles are no longer confined to traditional battlefields. The ability to disrupt power grids, financial systems, or even military communication networks adds another layer to Iran's readiness, allowing it to strike in non-traditional ways that can have massive consequences without a single missile being fired. Another design element of Iran's military strategy is its reliance on self-sufficiency. Over decades of sanctions, Tehran has had no choice but to build much of its defense industry from scratch. This has led to a culture of innovation under constraint, where engineers and scientists are pushed to reverse engineer foreign technology or develop alternatives locally. The Iranian military often showcases prototypes of new drones, missiles, or naval equipment as evidence of this self-reliant spirit. While critics argue that not all of these systems are as advanced as Iran claims, the psychological impact of unveiling new weapons is undeniable. It keeps adversaries uncertain about what Iran is truly capable of, which in military strategy is a form of strength in itself. Unique selling points of Iran's posture include the blend of conventional and unconventional capabilities. Unlike countries that rely heavily on expensive fighter jets, tanks, or ships, Iran has embraced relatively affordable yet effective systems like drones and rockets. This creates a battlefield dynamic where even with fewer resources, Tehran can pose significant threats. The symbolic importance of fighting both Israel and the US simultaneously also carries weight, as no other regional power has made such a direct challenge. This boldness resonates with supporters across the Middle East, who view Iran as a counterbalance to what they perceive as Western or Israeli dominance economically. There is also a dimension to this readiness. Iran's defense industry employs thousands, and by producing weapons domestically, the government turns sanctions into an opportunity to keep industries alive and feed a narrative of resilience. At the same time, by exporting drone technology to allies and even to some foreign states, Iran leverages its military capacity into geopolitical influence. This is seen in conflicts where Iranian drones have surfaced far from the Middle East. Adding to concerns about how widely Tehran's technology might spread, the psychological factor cannot be overstated. By declaring readiness to fight the US and Israel, Iran projects an image of confidence that can rally domestic support and intimidate opponents. Even if actual war does not break out, the perception of strength is a valuable tool in negotiations, whether over sanctions, nuclear agreements, or regional diplomacy. Every time Tehran showcases a new missile test or a drone strike carried out by one of its proxies, it reinforces the idea that Iran is not to be underestimated. This perception management is a core part of its military doctrine, turning communication into a weapon just as powerful as rockets or aircraft in terms of performance aspects of direct combat readiness. Iran has carried out numerous military drills over the past years. These exercises often simulate attacks on mock Israeli or American bases, highlighting not only their technical readiness, but also their strategic intent. Naval drills in the Strait of Hormuz, where a significant portion of the world's oil passes, send another clear message. By threatening shipping lanes, Iran holds an economic pressure card against the entire global economy. This maritime dimension adds further uniqueness to Iran's readiness, because the ability to disrupt energy supplies can create ripple effects far beyond the battlefield. Another unique point is Iran's approach to psychological warfare and propaganda, the use of state media to broadcast images of underground missile bases, drone strikes, and massive rallies of armed forces is not just about showing strength internally, but also shaping international perception. By constantly reminding adversaries of its growing capabilities, Iran tries to create a deterrent without even needing to fire a shot. This strategy of deterrence through spectacle is something Tehran has mastered over time, and it plays an important role in how the world views its readiness to confront larger powers ultimately. Iran's readiness to fight both Israel and America rests on a combination of hard power and soft power, of weapons and words, of direct and indirect strategies. It is not about matching the US or Israel tank for tank or jet for jet, but about creating enough capability to impose costs on any aggressor. That balancing act between limited resources and maximum impact defines the Iranian approach. When officials in Tehran declare they are ready, what they mean is that they have built a system designed to withstand strikes, retaliate effectively, and ensure that any war would be costly for their adversaries. This readiness is as much about shaping perception as it is about preparing for actual battle.